Okay, so here's my review of Nuremberg. So the movie starts off the day before VE Day. If you don't know what VE Day is, that's Victory in Europe. Hitler is dead. Goebbels is dead. Basically, everybody is. The high command is shattered. Anyway, it starts off with a long line of people, I assume, returning home. Um, and Goering's Goering's Rolls Royce um gets stopped by the army and he is promptly arrested. It cuts to DC. A SCOTUS judge played by Michael Shannon is informed that Göring has been captured and he wants to put him on trial because he does not want a repeat of Versailles. And this is a subplot that it annoys me with every World War II movie. I will explain in a minute. It's one of the it's just one of the gripes that I've always had. Anyway, he puts this plan together to, not have it just Americans, but, basically the Allies. Which would become the trials at Nuremberg. And then we're introduced to Rami Malek's character, Douglas Kelley. He's taken to a secret base. It's basically kind of a hotel that's been converted into a prison. And he's tasked with giving the Nazi high command leaders psych evaluations. So he starts the interview, and then he kind of goes around to the other prisoners. They all kind of throw each other under the bus a little bit. He starts to psychologically break down the patients. And, they make a big deal about the German atrocities being unique. Yeah, they're probably the most famous group of people that committed atrocities, but they ain't the only one. Seriously, you think Germans from the 1940s are the only people that attempted ethnic cleansing? So he has Göring then has a heart attack and he gets saved by aspirin, which is odd. Then we cut to a shot of the White House where the trial is being discussed, and basically the attitude is let's just execute him. But again, there's the thought is they don't want to do what they did in the first one. There's huge resentment for the trial. A lot of people in that time just wanted him shot. The psych evaluations continue. The Soviets surprisingly get on board with the trial. But they keep calling them Russians in this movie, and it's like they weren't Russians. They were Soviets. Because the Soviet Union was comprised of many, many countries. Not just Russia. I mean, yes, they were the biggest one. Yes, they were most of it. But little nitpicks like that just kind of bug me. Congress doesn't want the trial. Trust me, he'll get it. And basically, he gets it by involving the Pope. This is the same Pope that recognized the Nazi state. And no, I'm not going to be using coded language just because of YouTube's goddamn fifis. This particular Pope, he basically represented so that the Nazis wouldn't go after the German Catholics. So he gets the Pope's blessing for the trial. And Göring hears that there's going to be a trial, while also proving that ink block cards are useless. One of the scenes that just, this is a little side note, but one of the scenes is at a bar and everybody is smoking. And I know I'm supposed to stick to the review, but give me a minute. I wish we could smoke inside again, or at establishments like bars. Or at least give the restaurant the option to be smoking or non-smoking. It's not the government's job to save us from ourselves, okay? Everybody knows smoking's bad. We all accept the risks, but it should be up to the business whether it's smoking or non-smoking. I am tired of having my life dictated to me by activists. Anyway, back to the review. I promise that'll be the only thing. A great point is made when they have like the tippy top of the iceberg, and because if this trial fails, the first one, that's it, it's over. There'll be no more prosecutions. So the inmates are locked up at Nuremberg. The actors, actually, all of them do a really good job in this movie, especially Crowe. And I'm speaking specifically of the guys playing German officers, the Nazi high command. Then they bring in Rudolf Hess. There's a minor bit of historical inaccuracy. He never actually got a meeting with anyone. He was basically he crashed in a field. Farmers arrested him. The police came and took him to the Tower of London. He didn't get a meeting with anybody. As he had no real influence, nor power, nor authority to negotiate any sort of a armistice, ceasefire, treaty, whatever. Göring asks for some letters to be delivered to his family. There's a scene with his wife and kids. One of the leaders, and it's kind of a weird scene. Like, it's kind of like, what the... It's just shot weird and awkward, like his wife is automatically falling for the American doctor. Anyway, one of the leaders punches the good doctor, and he demands to be shot because he doesn't want to be on trial like a common criminal. By the way, he somehow kills himself. I'm not sure how, because he basically had to self-strangulate, which is fucking damn near impossible. There's kind of a romance subplot involving the doctor and some hot brunette chick from the train. And honestly, they show a newsreel and they say Dateline. As in what? The NBC Dateline? Does that show go back that goddamn far? One of the big myths of World War II that I get particularly annoyed with, there's two. This is one of them. By the way, this movie has both of them in it. Is that the only people that were in the concentration camps were Jews. This is absolutely incorrect. Along with Jews were homosexuals, enemies of the state, gypsies, Slavic people. So, no, it wasn't, and look, I'm not taking anything away. I'm just, historical accuracy is historical accuracy. Come on. So they start to want the doctor to break patient confidentiality so that the SCOTUS judge can build his case against Göring. So they're basically asking him to betray the most sacred oath a doctor takes. And this is where the second myth that I wish would die about World War II happens. And that is that it was close. Or that if Germany tried it a third time, we wouldn't be able to stop them. The war was never close. Germany did not have the ability to invade Britain with land forces. Even if the Luftwaffe was 100% successful in the Battle of Britain and the British were just incompetent idiots that couldn't fly a goddamn plane through How Green Is My Valley, they would not have been able to mount an attack to take control of Britain. There is no scenario that gives that credence. Secondly, Hitler was always going to attack Russia, and Russia was always going to win that fight because the Russian winner, a much better military commander, Napoleon Bonaparte, found that one out the hard way as well, about 100 years beforehand. The war was not, there is no plausible scenario. And you know what? If you want, go in the comments, give me a scenario. But you cannot actually change Hitler. Because a lot of this is, well, what if he doesn't attack the Russians? Well, he was always going to attack the Russians. If you change that fundamental thing, great. Hitler's a completely different person. Do we even have a Second World War? So no, the war was not that close. Germany was always doomed. It's just one of the myths that I wish would die, that Germany had a shot. No, they fucking didn't. So the doc and Göring talk about Hitler, how he gave basically Germany pride back. And that is completely historically accurate. They make kind of a point about how many people knew in Germany of the atrocities being committed, or the extent of the atrocities being committed. Because the movie maintains that Göring only thought they were labor camps. Basically, nobody was dying. Nobody was being mistreated. They were just basically slave labor, which isn't good. Anyway, so again, as I brought up, one of the Nazis kill themselves. They bring in a new doctor. And they're basically both going to be writing a book. One doctor said, the new doctor says, "Wait, why don't we, team up?" Anyway, he doesn't want to do that. Anyway, for whatever reason, the doctor and this, I don't know if it ever happened or not. Anyway, the doc boy returns to Hermann Wife's and listens to his daughter play some piano. And they shoot this like they're forming a family. It's weird. Anyway, the Göring then starts to psychoanalyze the doc. He enters a plea and gets turned over to the SCOTUS judge. They yap about international law. International law means less than nothing. Because, again, it meant nothing in 1945. It means nothing now. It's just these rules that we pretend exist but actually don't. Because, whether you like it or not, might makes right. So Göring knew his statement got leaked. He knew who leaked it. His wife and family are caught. They're both released after a while. Basically, his wife got arrested for stealing art, which is not that big of a crime. Whatever. Um, so then we see the disturbing footage of the concentration camps. This didn't, this, I've seen all this before because I love history. So I've watched more than my fair share of documentaries on it. The doc eventually confronts Göring. Göring goes, what about you nuking Hiroshima and Nagasaki? Which, whatever, we did that in war. You did that deliberately. So, yeah, the Germans were worse. Although the Japanese POW camps were actually worse than Auschwitz. Just not for nothing. If you want to dive into that, do your own research. Whether or not Göring knew is kind of lost to history. Because remember, you know what? I'm not gonna derail the review with a 10-minute thing about. Let's just say Göring was not in Hitler's inner circle for like the last year and a half of the war, or 2 years, whatever. Anyway, the reporter sluts back. They meet up at the bar. Doc's getting drunk, and he tells all to the UK reporter. So he basically gets fired, get the fuck out of here, go back home. And then we get the translator's sob story about he's, a Jew and blah, blah, blah. And, the final solution, or at least what it became, wasn't known to the vast majority of the German population until after the war. When, we started liberating said camps. The doctor gets a pep talk, and another pep talk, and yeah, Göring has gotten into a lot better shape, as you kind of see throughout this video, which is actually historically accurate. He did go cold turkey on quitting his pain meds, and he did lose about 60 pounds. Göring takes the stand. They have him portrayed as like this master strategist, extremely intelligent guy, but again, like the last year and a half of the war, he was not in Hitler's inner circle. The trial is actually really entertaining, really good, and but then again, my whole thing is I love history, so if you don't, I don't know how well this will work, but I really thought I thought the trial was quite good. It ends like most courtroom dramas. Göring and the doc have a final meeting. He says no to a last meal. Göring kills himself with a cyanide capsule. And then the other thing that just drives me bananas is he goes on a radio show or a television show, and he's trying to promote his book and basically saying that this can happen again. No, it can't. I do not see any scenario in which the rise of something like Nazi Germany will ever happen again. And no, Trump ain't that. Then the movie makes a point to bring up that war crimes have never been prosecuted again. Well, yeah, no shit. The U.S. can do whatever it likes and no one can stop us. Who the fuck's gonna hold us accountable? What, the UN? Oh, we're 85% of their military. Anyway, the Douglas Kelley book failed. And truth be told, I probably should have researched this before doing the movie review. But I'm just going to go with the movie. I don't even know this Douglas Kelley guy even existed. Anyway, it flopped. Nobody listened to him. And he actually chose the same method of self-deletion as Hermann Göring with cyanide. So, to sum it all up, I'm just going to say this from... I'm a history lover. I thought the movie was pretty good. I really think it's worth a watch. I believe it's available on Netflix now. Or it's available on one of those streaming services. So if you do have it, I actually do recommend checking it out. It is kind of a longer movie, so pencil in a little more time. It's about 2.5 hours. But yeah, I really recommend you to check it out. So for me, final rating, 6.5 out of 10.